Please welcome the Associate Professor of Intercultural Studies, Dr. Faircloth.
Welcome to the Wattcast, Dr. Faircloth. I think I just want to really simply start with the question, what is it? What is this thing that we call culture, and what makes it valuable?
Yeah, that's a good question because coming back, my family and I just came back actually to the U.S. after 15 years in Southeast Asia. We were in Thailand and Malaysia. And culture is something that is in the forefront of our minds, constantly. And I think it's not just something now that we don't just train missionaries anymore in culture. Coming back to the U.S., it's become very obvious that anybody doing ministry or anybody who wants to make any kind of difference in their community here in the U.S. are going to have some basic skills in understanding what culture is, why it's important, why it's valuable, as you said, and how to navigate a world of plurality, plurality of cultures, a plurality of religions, and what that means for civil society, what that means for flourishing. So I think this is a timely discussion and a timely question, even for the U.S. Because when we're looking for a theological account and we're talking of causes, just like consciousness, just like human existence, if humans are the only ones that can produce this thing we call culture, it helps us, I think, to go back even to Genesis 1. Because we see in Genesis 1 that God creates humanity in his own image. And in the very next verse, his own image, he then blesses them and then commands them to multiply, to fill the earth and subdue it, to rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the heavens, and everything that lives on land. Now, here's the thing. He not only gives us, out of all the creatures on the earth, gives us the capacity, the ability to do it, but then commands us to do it. And that's very important because it's not just a natural ability. The natural ability that animals have, they must do the things they do. But when we're talking about culture, yes, it's a natural capacity that humans have, but it's also a moral imperative, which means we could choose not to do it. We could choose not to obey the command. But in order to do it, right, in order to rule over the birds, the fish, and everything on the land, in order to multiply, it takes more than one person. Right? Yeah. You can't just have individual culture. Culture is something that happens within society. Groups of people have to come together and agree, here's how we will do this. Here's how we will have family. Here's how we will have community. Here's how we will use our resources. And through that, you produce worlds of meaning. So what we find is to be in the image of the Creator is to be little creators ourselves. Wow. And to be commanded to create. This is the cause of culture. God is the cause of culture, his cultural mandate for us to be in society, to work together. So maybe the closest I would come, we can give anthropological definitions of culture, there are plenty. Yeah. But for a theological account, I think the closest we might come for what is culture would be that it is a society's pursuit of the good, the true, and the beautiful. Wow. We see in Revelation 21 the culmination of all things. And this is a very important aspect that sort of caps God's creation of culture, or of humanity to create culture, and its purpose. Because we see in Revelation 21 that, first of all, we need to remember that stuff is good. The physical creation is good. We're not trying to escape the physical creation. We're not trying to escape society and culture. Wow. Itself, the thing itself is good and right and holy. And this is what God tells us in Genesis. And so when he reconciles all things, and it's talking about the kingdom of heaven coming to earth, when we think about eternity in heaven, we're talking about life in society on earth. That's what we mean, right?
That's good.
And so all the cultures are coming into the kingdom of heaven. And it says the glory of the kings, the honor and glory of the nations will be brought into the kingdom of heaven, and nothing impure will enter it. So as far as our intention and as far as our engagement with other cultures, in meaning and purpose, I think Christians really need to see themselves as conservationists and artists. Conservationist and artist. Our purpose is to help and to guide and to inspire and to preserve all that is good, all that is true, all that is beautiful in other societies, because what are we doing except preparing an offering for that day? Wow. And so our involvement in society, our involvement in respect for culture it's an act of obedience. And it is preparing ourselves and preparing the earth for the coming of the King. Why should we not give him our best?
But how